Hello there, this is Tom. Just thought I would make a very short video summarising the main points that emerged from your mock exam that you did last week. Just go through tasks um, by task, starting with paper one. Um, Paper one, task one, very straightforward. Shouldn't be a problem here. Just be careful to read the definition very thoroughly because there could be a few red herrings. So read the definition very thoroughly and select the right term. In task two is very similar, but this time you've actually got to write the definition. Be careful here because the examiner might be looking for more than one component of meaning and might be looking for two or three elements of meaning which define that particular term. So give you an example, we had the alveolar plosive for the mock exam, and the examiner would be looking for the fact that it's a consonant sound, that it's made by a sudden release of air, and that sudden release of air occurs between the tongue and the alveolar ridge. So that's kind of three things the examiner's looking for there. So don't throw away marks, and also think about very clear examples of those definitions, those terms. So, for example, the alveolar plosive would be a t or a d sound. So think of the best example you can think of there. But very straightforward. Those first two tasks shouldn't take you long at all. And then you'd move on to task three, which was essentially language demands. Again, this shouldn't take you long at all. You should be looking at the task, looking at the level if the level is specified, and thinking about language demands. So this might be connected with grammar, vocabulary, could be connected with a neutral, a formal, or an informal style. Be as specific as possible there. So rather than writing grammar, you can use that as a heading, but then specify which grammar you'll be that the learner would be required to use, and also give precise examples of that as well. Again, so this shouldn't be taking you long at all. You should be racing through this at lightning speed. And moving on to task four. Task four is worth quite a whopping 20 marks here, so you can't afford to throw anything away. And again, this is fairly straightforward. You to put yourself into think about receiving a piece of work from a learner, analysing the piece of work and thinking about what kind of formative feedback you would give that learner. They would probably give you headings. So, for example, the headings normally something like accuracy of lexis, effect on the reader, organisation and cohesion. And then what you would do is identify strengths and weaknesses, and make sure you have at least one strength and one weakness in your answer. Again, this shouldn't be difficult. This should be, for all of you, this should be fairly easy to get 20 marks here. And it would be a shame to see any of you throwing marks away in the first four tasks, to be honest. Now, task five, this is the one where you threw away a lot of marks. Task 5A, be careful because you're talking about, you're given a piece of authentic text to analyze, and you're asked to identify features of the text which are characteristics of the genre. So you need to identify the genre. So we're not analyzing the specific text you're given. You're identifying the genre and thinking about what kind of elements or features are characteristic of that genre. So, for example, you have we had the information leaflet, and you might want to mention the fact that it's used that information leaflets use visuals, they use headings, they use passives, they use modals, and so on. So be careful there. Moving on, I think the key thing that you all really need to focus on is the MFP, but specifically the meaning part, is that most of the marks here are going to be found in the meaning part. So analyzing the target language, make sure you only analyze what you're told to analyze. So a lot of you made mistakes analyzing phrasal verbs when you're actually asked to analyze the passive. Read the rubric very carefully and think about elements of meaning. What kind of think about the context, the co-text, and what, for example, the passive, what function the passive serves within that particular example. So this is kind of like racking up points here. So as many as you can for a maximum of 50 marks. So you need to have at least 50 points in this section. And a lot of the form marks, you can only get 1 or 2 marks with form because the form marks will actually be included in one overall sentence. So lots of work on meaning there, and also thinking about using the phonemic script. So if you're going to analyze the the phonology, you see if you can use the phonemic script. Don't spend hours trying to transcribe whole sentences, but using phonemic script in a way which would be meaningful to your learners. Um, I guess that's about it for paper one. As I said before, most of you did well. You threw away a lot of marks in the meaning and use. Um, and again, it's quantity rather than quality here. So basically, try and get as many points as you can, and that's the way that you can get your merits and your distinctions. So the first 4 tasks you should be able to race through quite easily. You should be getting full marks there, and the last task you should be getting for quantity rather than quality. Some people like to start with task 5 first, but I quite like starting with the kind of easier terminology questions and moving on to the more demanding discourse analysis. So that's it for this video. I'll be moving on to paper 2 in the next video. So thank you very much, and overall you did very well. Please get back to me if you have any questions, but I think we've got this one pretty much under control. Thank you.